Lady JB, and I'm so excited to be here because we are talking about ways to ignite humanity. And that's right, each and every one of us can come together to do something exceptional to ignite humanity and ignite the lives of others. And I love the word ignite because inside it is that spark, that ignition, that power, that rocket fuel, that one thing that is really going to move the needle in your life, and that's going to help you move the needle in other people's lives. Because, folks, it's a ripple effect. One small incremental gesture, one incredible thing that you do can help others feel ignited in their lives. And when they feel ignited, well, they ignite somebody else. And when that person ignites another person, well, you get it. We create this incredible ripple effect that is going to inspire the planet. And we need that now more than ever to inspire one another, to feel like it's possible, that we can do it, that there's enough for all of us, and that our future is bright and glorious and wonderful because, well, we've got generations to come and we've got lives to live, and we want igniting humanity to be the power that gives us all the strength to do and be exactly who we are. And that's what this show is about. And we love to pepper in those beautiful ignite moments, those times in people's lives where they do something that miraculously changes them. Now, it may not feel that way in the beginning. Those ignite moments sometimes can be tough and difficult, but ultimately they have that silver lining, that golden nugget, that peace that allows them to feel the lesson and the blessing behind the experience that gives them the wisdom to then share that with someone else. And if you've had an ignite moment in your life and you've learned something from it and you can help someone else, well, wow, that's powerful. And that is what is going to ignite humanity. That's why we're here, and that's what this show is all about. Now, I'm live in location in Los Angeles, and I'm so blessed to be here because many of my friends and colleagues have come here to meet with me, to be in studio today, to talk about how they are igniting humanity. These people all have great stories, and they started somewhere. They just put one foot in front of the other and decided that they were going to make a difference in their lives first so that they could shine the light and be a beacon, a path, a North Star for somebody else to do the same in their lives. And we've got one of those incredible people in our studio right now. Welcome, Mr. Marvin Epstein. He's a serial entrepreneur, and he's igniting lives through humility. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, JB. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And I love that word humility. We don't hear that all the time. We hear power and passion, and we hear excitement and all of those things, but not always humility. Why is humility important to you?
Humility to me, and it's more than a characteristic in my life, it's more of a muscle that you get to exercise. So every day when you get up in the world there's things you have to buy, there's things you have to pay for, there's things you have to purchase. Humility is something that you can have an inside of you, and it's inside of all of us. It's how you're of service and how you're of support. It has no cost and priceless value.
Yeah, I remember many times in my life where I felt the most humble. It was truly the most uplifting. You know, that reverence to humility allowed me to sort of catapult through some of the challenges in my life. Do you feel like humility is a springboard for people to move forward?
100%. And if you look at what's happened, you know, as our world changes and as we have to have more challenges that we have to overcome, the question is somebody going to help me if it becomes my battle? Somebody will help you if it's their battle.
Right.
So if you start out by being of service, humility is a value and an art beyond anything. It's not a skill. It's something you have to feel inside. You have to want somebody to be able to have a better life. And if you show how somebody can have a better life, the organic value to you is very reciprocal because your life becomes better.
And you know, humility is not about being weak. And I think some people have said that, like, oh, I'm going to humble myself and lower myself and make myself be beneath. And I think even speaking as a woman, sometimes we think, well, we have to be humble to and subservient. And I know for a fact that's not what you mean when you talk about humility.
Yeah, I have an expression that your ego has the effect on you, humility has your effect on everyone. So if you interview any of the entrepreneurs and any of the people that have had any kind of opportunities to grow and flourish and have great accolades and great opportunities and great experiences, they'll tell you it's always about the group. There isn't one person that's going to sit in this chair and say, I did it all by myself. And so humility is acknowledging the fact that we all need at least one other person to be successful. And by acknowledging them and making them understand the value that they provided, they're obviously going to be more value to you.
And in the folks at home, I mean, we talk about business and our other colleagues, but at home, that's our spouses, our family, our grandparents. There's a lot of connection we have in the people that are close to us. It doesn't have to just be in the entrepreneurial world. But I like what you said, because you're right. Some of the wealthiest, most successful people actually lean on other people. Well, not actually, they do lean on other people to get them there, but they are humble and grateful. Do you feel like humility and gratitude go hand in hand?
100%. Because the value and the way those two things connect, which I'm sure obviously you're an expert in both, is to be able to understand if you give value to somebody, then the reciprocal value is they're grateful. If you're doing it unconditionally, then that's the key ingredient. If you're doing it with an agenda, you know, if you're starting a charity because you want to make the world a better place, that's one thing. If you're starting a charity because you want to meet so-and-so, because you know they're passionate about this, then you're not doing something unconditionally, you're doing it with an agenda.
Right.
And in some cases, the universe will, you know, the expression is, you're going to get rewarded one way or another.
Right.
And the universe is going to know what you're thinking.
Right.
So if you feel that humility is something that you can use as a characteristic and use as something that's an exercise that you can practice every day, then it's something unconditional, and people will feel that, they'll understand that, and that's how you build what I call relationship capital.
It's a good word, relationship capital. I was recently in India, and I found people there were very humble. They were very gracious. There was this real grace with them. Do you think it's cultural? Do you think we learn humility? Are we taught it from our parents? Is it something we witness in others?
I would definitely say, in my case, it's from my mom. And there's a part of my TED Talk where I talk about that I was so frustrated at 9 years old that I decided mom doesn't know how to be a parent. So, you know, because of course, we're the adult in the room,
right.
And the parent that's obviously been raising us has no clue what they're doing. So I just told her, I said, I'm leaving, I'm running away. So what did she do? She reached up in the closet and grabbed my suitcase. And I was like, what are you doing? She goes, well, if you're running away, I got to help you pack. So I think that was like the humility stick that literally I got hit over the head. And through that, I understood it's like, here's somebody that's unflappable. And here's somebody that looks at parenting from a standpoint of level of responsibility. And if you want to be an arrogant little individual, then you're going to get treated like one. If you want to come from humility and you want to build a relationship, and what myself and a lot of other people say is, if you want to invest in people, not things, then you're going to get the value of the people, because the people can give you countless opportunities. Where if you invest in something because it's a thing, you better hope that that thing is everything you thought it is. Because if it doesn't work, there's no people that are going to fix it.
Right. And things aren't going to ignite humanity. They're not going to help you. They're not going to move you forward. Things really, and a lot of us aspire for things, but it's not the things that is going to actually catapult the change or catapult the success. It's really the essence of the human. And what you're saying is coming to it from a place of humility.
And when you come from humility, you look at everybody as an opportunity to create something of value. So one of the chapters in my book, I talk about somebody that's a parking attendant. And when I tell, somebody is, why would you tell this story? It's because what is the parking attendant's value? Well, 1, they were available. 2, they were obliging and cordial. And 3, I recognize somebody that's normally not recognized. And every one of you as the audience, I'm sure you have somebody that's not recognized. What happens if you recognize them one day? You're the one person that becomes of value to them. And watch how quickly they react to you, and watch how quickly they appreciate what you do. It could be the busboy, it could be the parking attendant, it could be the clerk in the store. Because one day, if you really need something and the manager's not available, you want somebody that knows that you already gave them value. So you got to run through the store and you know the store clerk. And by the way, one of the key ingredients is to learn people's names. And when they tell you their name, to remember their name and repeat their name. Because if you give somebody a name, whether it's somebody that's what I call of abundance, or somebody that, what I use the expression of acceptance, once you give them their name back, they have the identity.
Right.
They're no longer just, a vessel and a vehicle to communicate with. They now have a purpose and a place in the world.
Great idea, great solution. We love those on the show because actually our names are so important. And when you give people their value back, right, you're really igniting humanity. Great solution. Now, you talked about your mom. I'd love to ask you, you are very successful. You do a lot of incredible things, and yet you're very humble. How did you derive that? How did you decide that that was how you were going to show up in the world?
I think a lot of it had to do with Mom. Her expression was, you can reach for the stars, but you got to keep your feet on the ground. And the fact that every day there's always somebody that has more than me and less than me, and that's always going to be the case.
Right.
So the idea of building value is being of support and always being of support. And I was raised in an environment that was pretty much a single-parent household. And my grandmother and my mom and my sister, they were all very principle-driven. So there was no showboating, there was no spin, there was no, chest-beating environment. It was, here's the work, here's the value. We're put on this planet to be able to make the world a better place. And that's not hyperbole. It's, how do you make the world a better place? You make people better.
Right.
And when you make somebody else better, like some of the titles I mentioned, you become better.
Right.
Because you're building something and you're building a rapport with somebody that's now being praised because of just the fact that they're helping you.
Right.
And you acknowledge the fact that you're being helped. So when you use the expression, does humility and gratitude connect? Absolutely. Because now I walk in the store and Gina, who sees me however she sees me, hi, Mr. Epstein, how are you? Hi, Gina, how are you? How's your husband, Rick? Did your son, Ricky, go to school today?
Right.
And you told me about the test. How did he do? It's like, who would talk to a store clerk like that? The value of doing that is immeasurable. It does two things. One, it makes them feel better because somebody acknowledges their existence and the existence of other people they care about. And two, it gives us so much emotional gratification. It's when I use the word priceless, regardless of how much financial wealth you can accumulate, the emotional gratification of what you've done for somebody is a different level.
And do you think, and not to dog on phones, but do you feel like we're looking down all the time and we've lost some of that humility, we've lost some of that connection in our culture and amongst people, not saying hello to the clerk, not saying good morning to the lady who helps our kids cross the street. We're not really connecting the way we used to. And we've lost a bit of the humility around the graciousness. I feel that that's a really important word. I'm grateful for the gentleman who helps, sweep up my children's school, or I'm thankful for the lady who brings my food to the table and I didn't have to go to the kitchen and get it myself. The graciousness and the humility also go hand in hand, brother and sister. We've got graciousness, we've got gratitude, and we've got humility all coming together. But when I say them, there's something really good feeling about that.
Well, and that feel-good feeling is what everybody needs. Like you say, people are you controlling technology or is technology controlling you? Is who's the one that turns it on? If you're turning it on because something told you to turn it on, then it's controlling you. If you're turning it on because you want to communicate, you have to decide. And there's certain times where we just need to decompress.
True.
And when I'm in a meeting, when I'm in an environment that I know this is something where I'm in front of someone, I want them to know they are the most important thing at the time.
Isn't that so valuable, like making people feel important? And we've lost a little bit of that. We've lost it sometimes with our kids. We've lost it with our parents. It seems to be trickling and dissipating a little bit. How are some ideas and solutions to make people feel important? You mentioned knowing their name. Any other things that you can just give our audience? How do you make people feel important?
So this may sound very, very simple. Smile. Show somebody that you're friendly. Show somebody, when you smile, you're telling somebody the world's a good place. The world's a beautiful place. The world's a wonderful place. And when I go through my travels and other people that see people that may not be in a place that they're comfortable with, when I want to be talking to them and I want to be of service to them, one, like I said, I ask them their name, but two, I want to hear their story because they didn't get there because they wanted to be there. They got there through a certain set of circumstances.
Right.
And the fact that somebody cares enough to listen is so valuable. So beyond the idea of knowing their name, be a good listener.
Right.
When somebody shares something, pay attention. The only way you can pay attention is if you're not looking at your technology.
Right.
If you're not, and the funny thing is, if you think about it, like I joke about it a little bit, it's like, how did we all of a sudden all become doctors on emergency 911 calls?
Yes, exactly.
Like, really, our phone, like, before that, we had to, like, be a lot more flexible and a lot more unconventional. Where now it's like we're all tremendously important people. And when you feel that way and you behave that way, then people are going to think that's who you are.
Right, and you lose the humility and the gratitude and the graciousness that we all need in humanity. We need a little bit more of that, and I appreciate you saying that. And I want to just say thank you to you, because when you showed up today, you stopped, you looked at me, you took a moment, you looked me in the eye, you hugged me, you gave me your full attention, you were present. And even though we had just a few minutes before we were whisked away and then something else happened and then we came back together and we saw each other and we got ready for the show, I really admired the fact that you just took that moment to really be present with me in the brief time that we had. And I think that was so gracious, totally free, doesn't cost anything, and really creates what I think is what's going to heal us all, connection.
I mean, that was your energy. And for those of you that don't know JB, and I'm sure your millions of listeners have seen you so many times, she is a force of nature. She is an individual that you want to be around. So I appreciate and honor and respect the fact that she says how gracious it was of me. But when I saw her, I was like, oh my God, it's like, I'm the happy person in the room. So I wanted to be in her company. I wanted to be in her energy because she's that person. I mean, look at how beautiful and how vibrant and how much she smiles and projects and presents. It's like every one of you is getting something from her and she's sharing it. Now, how are you sharing something with her? You have to decide. Are you giving feedback? Are you giving comments? Are you sending letters? Are you sending your own videos? What are you doing to be of value to her, to say, wow, that day was great. That interview was wonderful. Thank you so much. The littlest things can make the biggest difference. And all you have to do is do one thing, and that is say yes.
And I think there's a lot of times when you give feedback to people, thank you for the great service. Thank you for helping me out. Like I'm constantly, if somebody gives me great service, I'm always telling you gave me great service today. Thank you for the extra effort. That little acknowledgement goes a long way and it lifts people up. It allows people to feel, as you said, valued and seen and heard. And I think the three most important things is we need to be seen, we need to be heard, and we need to belong.
Belong, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's true. And right now, humanity, I think, is longing to belong. And that's really why we do this show, is we want people to feel like they can learn something from your story. They can glean something from what you've been through. And they can say, you know what, if Marvin did that, I can do that too. And I think that's the power of us sharing. And I want to say thank you for being here. I'll play a little bit more with you about Ignite. So Ignite for me is really about this kind of like this, I feel like it's like exuberance, like there's this real joy in the word ignite. And I know a lot of people have said, well, it's about fire, and fire is destructive. The truth is, I actually feel the opposite, that there's just so much velocity to it. When you hear the word ignite, what do you think?
Strength.
Yeah.
Strength, power, motivation. Really an opportunity.
And there's energy behind our words. We've been talking to to other guests about the power of words. I mean, you're using the word humility, and there's a power behind that.
Well, you've heard this many times, the expression, the 10-year overnight success. So everybody wants to be the success. The question is how long did it take you to get there, and what did you have to do? Are you willing to walk the mile in the person's shoes, as the expression goes? So, what I think is fascinating is whether it's me or anybody else that sits in this chair, is if somebody wants to go through what I went through, then there's an opportunity you can be where that person is.
Right.
So the key is how do we do for your audience to say, well, maybe we'll shave a few steps off our journey. So you can do it in 9 years or 8 years instead of 10. But we all wanted to do this, and we said yes to start with. And what I'm always curious about, and I'd love for your listeners to weigh in and report back to you, is, if somebody wants to be the fastest person in the world, I'm not curious what made them start training. I'm curious, what was the intention that started them believing that if they trained, they would be the fastest person in the world? Or whatever their success that they want is, how did that start? And so when you use the word ignite, that's almost like the conduit to it, is what was the flame, what was the strength and power inside you that said, I want to be a serial entrepreneur. Because being an entrepreneur is you have to manage your own time. It's very different. Right. You're the lowest paid person and the hardest worker. and when you do something successfully, you bring everybody together and celebrate. When you're working, as an employee, you have certain restrictions, but you're constantly, detailed and organized, and there's a structure. Being an entrepreneur, you have to want to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
It's literally, it's a risk. To me, the rewards are fantastic, but you have to decide if you want to do that. So what ignited in me is freedom, is opportunity, and being of service and being creative.
Well, you kind of set yourself up for this because you said, I like to ask people what their intention is. And so here it is. What's the intention that you have for your life, for your mission here? How do you want to be remembered? What do you want to implement and instill in people that they'll always think about when they think of you?
Through the power of humility and integrity, I want to inspire greatness in others and to make the world a better place.
Well said, really well said and beautifully. Greatness in others. And I think that, again, we have to talk about the inside job. It starts with ourselves. If we want to create greatness in others, then we have to rise up to our own greatness. And some of us are shy, fearful, apprehensive. What can you say to the viewers that are feeling like, I don't know what my greatness is?
I go back to the same thing as you have to say yes. And what yes means is you're willing to take one more step. Somebody gives you an opportunity, just say yes. We rationalize everything we do to decide if we should do this. If we just say yes and then figure it out, then the rest will come. There's this many people in the world that are geniuses. Right. The rest of us just pay attention to what geniuses do and copy it.
Right. And when you say yes, it's not yes how, it's yes, right?
Amen. Right. That's the beauty of the word, is when you say yes, whatever your yes is, you're now going to get out of the chair, get off the couch, get out of your car, go to that meeting, go to that play, go to that event, go meet with JB, whatever it is, if you have that opportunity. And the key is if you say yes, it's unconditional. Right. And this is why I'm sitting here.
Right. And the universe is on your side. When you say yes to something, the universe says, oh, they said yes, so let me provide. It may not be in my time frame. It may not be exactly the way I thought. But when you say yes, it is decided. That's how I like to feel.
And I think it's beautiful that the fact that, we saw each other in such a short, abbreviated amount of time, and this took place. Yes. So the question is why? Right. Because I value you, you value me. Right. And the rest is meaningless.
Right. And I came up to you and I said, do you want to do the interview? And you said, yes. Now here we are. And the beautiful thing is somebody is listening to this. Many people, millions of people are listening to the show. But there is a person that you are touching their heart. You are igniting something in them. And I want our listeners to know that if I can do it, if you can do it, they can do it.
Oh, amen. And I would say it this way. To a certain extent, you have to trust yourself that there's a reason why you're here in the world. And whatever that is, and whatever you feel that is, you have to keep telling yourself what it is. And the more you believe in that, whatever that element is, whatever ignites you, then keep pushing, keep working, let yourself go on the journey. You know, you've heard the expression is, you know, the destination is only as valuable as the experience along the way and what the journey provided. So it's saying yes to the journey. Where you get to may be a place that you didn't even dream of because it was way beyond your expectation. So, you know, when somebody says, you know, what goals do you set? My goals I set are to achieve my goals. No, my goals are to exceed my goals.
Right.
So if you want to say what's a nugget is you set your goals and then your goal is to exceed them.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, I am humbled by your beautiful presence. And I also want to say, I love to say the hardest step is the first step.
Oh, amen. But that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And by the way, when you make the first step and somebody else sees you make the first step, watch how many people want you to make the second, the third, and so on and so on.
Thank you so much for being here. We could talk on and on about this. I'm so glad that you said yes to being here. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your beauty for all of our listeners.
Oh, JB, thank you. The pleasure and, like I said, the honor is all mine. And for those of you that are fans of JB, you're on the right track. And say yes to JB, whatever that means, whatever she needs, and be of service to her, and the universe is going to reward you.
That's right. We can ignite humanity when we say yes. So say yes to you. Say yes to those opportunities. Say yes to the things that you believe in. And say yes when somebody asks you, are you ready? Are you willing? Are you able? Say yes, because the universe will expand and give you those things that you're looking for. It's truly been a joy to talk with our guest today because we know that humility, and when we are humble and when we are thankful and gracious and welcoming, so many good things happen. And those are qualities that are free and they're available to all of us. It doesn't matter the color of our skin or where we live, what language we use, how much money's in our pocket. Those things are universal amongst all people. And they are the things that are going to ignite our lives, ignite each other. And that is going to definitely make an impact on the world. Well, if you're doing something special to ignite humanity, please reach out to us. Go to ignitehumanity.life/share and tell us what you're doing in the world, because you could be a guest on the show. If you'd like to ignite the life of a child, be a part of our initiative to build schools in third world countries, and join us at ignitehumanity.life/donate, and you could contribute to our schools. Every single dollar you donate buys a brick to go into the walls of the school, and you could ignite literacy in a child's life, and that definitely will ignite humanity. If you want to listen to this episode again or watch any of our shows live from here in LA, or any of the shows that we've done previously, go to ignitehumanity.life/watch, and you could see everything for free. It's my desire to give you this content completely easy, accessible. All you have to do is sign in, and everything is free for you, and we don't ever retarget you. I've made a commitment to ignite humanity, and I'm going to work towards it each and every day, and I want you to have access to my guests, to the comments, to the suggestions, to the ability for you to ignite your life, because I know when you go out and ignite you, you will ignite someone else. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.